The Wilson's Hospital School versus Enoch Burke case was back in the High Court there this morning. Wilson's Hospital School were looking for the judge in the High Court to imprison Enoch Burke again for breach of the court orders which prohibit him from attending at the school or going into the school, from trespassing essentially. That's what the application was about today. The judge, however, took the view, Mr. Justice David Nolan, that Enoch Burke wanted that outcome because he described him having some deluded sense of injustice and refused to imprison him. Instead, he calculated the number of days by which Enoch Burke has been in breach of the court order at 169, and calculated the fines then that Enoch Burke owes the state at 235,000 euros, and made an order that he owes the state 225,000 euros. So that's the order he made today, crystallising the fines to date at the figure of 225,000 euros, and secondly increasing the daily fine, the daily rate at 2,000 euros per day. And he refused to imprison Enoch Burke because he said that that's what he wanted, and he wanted to make a martyr of himself or something like that. And he made mention of him having a deluded sense of injustice. Now that was something that his brother Isaac took exception to, and the judge in turn took exception to Isaac Burke's response and threatened to have him jailed for contempt if he didn't sit down. Members of the Burke family, according to the reports, attempted to shout down the judge and were removed from court by the Gardaí. The judge said that he wouldn't imprison him, and said that he knows what he would do if somebody was trespassing on his premises. He said he would go after their assets. He would pursue civil remedies and go after their assets. So what he was asking the school to do was to stop coming to the High Court and looking for Mr. Burke to be imprisoned, and instead engage the services of a security company to enforce the court order and to prevent any trespass. There was some question mark over how Enoch Burke was gaining entry to the school, and he was. It's not a question of standing outside the school, because standing outside the school is no problem. He can stand outside and protest. He can't stand inside, however, or enter the school. So the judge was suggesting to Rosemary Mallon BL that the board of management of the school needs to consider getting a private security firm to essentially enforce the court order. But she has to take instructions from her client, because she says that there's significant financial implications and cost involved in that, which is understandable because they've already incurred a fair whack of legal fees, I presume, and the security cost then of patrolling their premises, etc., and enforcing the court order is going to be a problem. How are you? And so she has to take instructions from the board of management, and she's going to swear, or get them to swear an affidavit before October, mid-October. It's back in the High Court again, and basically the judge wants to know what steps, if any, the school is going to take to engage the services of a security firm to enforce the court orders. The High Court, essentially, or the judges, basically fed up with this thing coming before the High Court all the time. So he's also crystallised, as I said, the losses, or the fines rather, of Enoch Burke at 225,000 euros. And he has empowered or directed the receiver, who was previously appointed, to go after the assets of Enoch Burke. He has encouraged or directed the receiver to try to enforce financial remedies and recover the fines. Well, the fines to date are at 225 grand, and the daily rate is 2,000 euros. The judge noted as well, or inquired about, the appeal. Enoch Burke has an appeal against his dismissal from the school, and he was successful in having Kieran Christie, General Secretary, or former General Secretary, I'm not sure which, of the ASTI removed from that appeal panel. So there's 3 people on the appeal panel. Enoch Burke objected to the presence of Kieran Christie on that panel because of what Enoch Burke said was his biased views towards transgender issues and so forth. And Enoch Burke was successful in having Kieran Christie removed from that panel. However, the judge was inquiring today about the status of the appeal and what's happening now. And basically the school have written to the ASTI asking them to nominate somebody else instead of Kieran Christie in his place. And they advised the judge that if that happens quickly, the appeal could go ahead within a couple of months, and the appeal then would be dealt with. The judge noted that technically Enoch Burke is still on the books, as it were, as an employee, or is technically still employed, because the appeal hasn't been determined yet. And the judge noted that in the context of how Enoch Burke was getting in to the premises, into the school, and apparently, I think it was reported there that he was going in along with other teachers or whatever, and he's claiming obviously that he's showing up for work. So that's the latest. He's back again in mid-October. The judge will want to know what steps the school have taken in relation to enforcing court orders. We'll want to know whether they've engaged the services of a private security firm or not. And it's back in, as I say, in the mid-October again. And the judge today essentially made reference to the deluded sense of injustice that Enoch Burke has. And that phrase was a phrase that the Burke family took exception to and made it clear. And as I say, members of the Burke family were escorted out of the court by the Gardaí. So that's the latest. I forgot to say there that Enoch Burke wasn't actually in court this morning. His family members were there all right, but he wasn't there himself. Presumably he's standing down below at the school in County Westmeath, but he wasn't in the High Court this morning. Back again in mid-October. If you find the video useful or informative or whatever, I'd appreciate if you hit the thumbs up button down below, and you may be interested in subscribing to my YouTube channel. I'm walking down the canal bank here in Enfield. It's lunchtime, and it's, I think, the 4th of September. It's a nice day, but very changeable with showers and so on, so I'm hoping to get down here and get back before the rain comes again. Anyway, hit the thumbs up button down below. Thanks a lot.